Hello, everyone. I would like to talk to you about bags. Bags are very important in modern life because they are part of everyone's past, present, and future. In other words, when I was a kid and when I used to go to schools, I had my school bag with me. I remember that I had kind of trendy and funky bags with Spider-Man or Barbie girl on the cover of the bag. Those were memorable days because I remember that every day I used to have my bag on my back and I go to school. Now, in the present, when I go to my work, I have to put all my documents in a very formal and classical bags. Sometimes I miss my old school bag, but the only bag that fits the business world is the square leather bag that I bought a month ago. And actually, it was highly recommended by my colleagues. Unfortunately, it's not a brand, but at the end of the day, it does the job required. I guess in the future, I plan to travel a lot. And when I travel, I will take a different kind of bags, the luggage and the baggage. I always like to travel light, but I still need bags in my life. In the future, when I travel, I'll make sure I have a small bag with me to put little things that I will need during my trip, and I will take my luggage with me as well. And I'll always make sure there is always a bag with me. And finally, till now, I keep my school bag because it reminds me of the good old memories of the school days. Thank you. Dr. Muhammad Khalil Moussa. Today's topic is my favorite website. My favorite website is Facebook, which has become popular all around the world, and it's number one social media website on the internet. Through Facebook, I can connect with my friends and colleagues and also relatives. For example, my brother lives in Canada, but despite the fact that he's so many hours away from me, we still keep in touch through Facebook Messenger, and we chat together. And sometimes I check the photos of my nephews and nieces on his Facebook page. Moreover, Facebook has become also a means of business and marketing. In other words, nowadays there are specialists in social media marketing. For instance, you can check the latest prices of mobile phones through the stores on their Facebook pages, and you can check the discounts on the Facebook pages of big stores like Carrefour or Hyper One in Egypt. However, despite the fact that Facebook has become very popular, it wastes a lot of time. This is why it is advised that teenagers or students who have got studies or people who are working, they are advised to watch their time and to strike a balance between those social media, virtual life, and the responsibilities in their actual life. To recap, I consider Facebook the most successful and the most popular website on the internet, and it is a proof that modern man is moving from the real life into the virtual life of social media, because through this virtual life, he can connect with his beloved ones, he can go shopping, he can also make phone calls with people in different countries. Thank you. This is Dr. Muhammad Khalil Moussa. History is considered one of the most important subjects at schools or universities because history means the past experiences of a nation, and on the individual level, it's the memories and experiences of the person. That is why I think that history should be a mandatory subject or an obligatory subject at schools and universities. Personally speaking, I enjoyed history when I was a student at school. For example, I remember that when I was at secondary school, I studied all kinds of revolutions, and I came to know how the Egyptian Revolution in 1952 brought back Egypt to the Egyptians and ousted the Turkish and Ottoman imperialism and colonization. So the lesson I've learned, the lesson that we should learn from history, is that there are different experiences, there are memories for nations, there are lessons, and nations should read and study history to know their value, their identity. Nowadays, youngsters, however, these days, youngsters and youth in general are not fond of history, and they consider it a very boring topic. Of course, I totally disagree with this attitude. And they think that studying history is just a waste of time because the past is gone. They're not aware that the past shapes the present, and the present leads to your future. In a nutshell, I may assume that history is the most important subject in any school, at any school or university, for one simple reason: the more you study history, the more you gain a vision into your future.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. معكم الدكتور محمد خليل موسى. Today I would like to talk to you about my favorite movie. If I talk about my favorite movie, then it is Harry Potter. And for your information, before watching the movies, I read the novels. And actually, I'm a big fan of all the parts of Harry Potter for many reasons. First, I love the British accent. And that's why whenever I watch the movie, I enjoy the British pronunciation. Especially when his friends call him Harry Potter. I like the British accent. The second reason is that the whole movie is about the eternal conflict between good and evil. The good is represented by Harry Potter and the evil is represented by Lord Voldemort. And strangely, despite the fact that Harry Potter is a child, he is able to win the battle at the end against Voldemort. And Voldemort has got all the mighty power of evil with all the snakes and serpents around him. But still, Harry Potter won the battle. In addition, what I like the most about the movie is that there is a beautiful relation between Harry Potter and his friends. And this is something quite precious in my personal life because I appreciate friendship, and the whole movie underscores and emphasizes the importance of friendship and teamwork. Without teamwork, the individual cannot fight a battle on his own. In fact, I saw the movie for the first time 10 years ago, and I watched it with my friends. And in the meantime, in the present, whenever I feel bored or stressed, I simply watch Harry Potter and recall the good old days of the good old days when I watched that movie for the first time. Finally, I may say that I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, and maybe others may disagree with me because it's full of dragons, snakes, and mythical creatures, but definitely it is still my favorite movie. Thank you. This is Dr. Muhammad Khalil Moussa. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم الدكتور محمد خليل موسى، وعايز اتكلم معكم النهاردة عن topic اسمه talk about a polite person that you've met in your life. So when I talk about a polite person, I may say that my father is the most polite person I've ever met in my life for several reasons. First, he always gets along with all kinds of people despite their different social backgrounds. For example, the security guards in our building really respect him and like him because he deals with them diplomatically and politely. Second, he knows quite well that it's not the degrees or the titles that matter. So despite the fact that he obtained his PhD in the field of English language, he deals with everyone as if he is still a student, and he's always receptive to any piece of advice. And that's why all people respected him, and they never thought that he was arrogant. In addition, my father, because he's so polite, has become my role model, and I would like to be like him one day. However, in the meantime, polite people suffer a lot because nowadays polite people are misunderstood as weak and fragile people who cannot cope with reality. Actually, I totally disagree with this trend, because I believe that if you want to be a gentleman, you have to stick to your morals and ethics and go against the current in your country, even if people don't appreciate that. But still, it's good to know that you are polite because you are genuinely polite. So I think that my father inspired me with all these principles and ethics, and I always look up to him as my role model. Thank you. كان معاكم الدكتور محمد خليل موسى. ربنا يوفقكم للخير.
Hello, this is Dr. Muhammad Khalil Moussa. I would like to talk to you about a sports event that brought peace and how a sports event can play a role in bringing nations together. And another question, if I have watched a sports event live or not. These are important topics for the writing and for the speaking. Always remember, when you have any topic, ask yourself, what is the event? What happened? Where was it? Why was it important? When? These questions will open for you many ideas. When I talk about the sports event, I always believe that sports is not only a way of venting out energy. Sports nowadays and sports events have become a way of bringing nations together. In other words, despite the political differences that nations may have, still they get together to enjoy a game. For example, in the Olympics of 2008 in Brazil, many Israeli teams playing basketball and football played with other Arab teams. Despite the enmity and the differences between Israel and the Arab world, still they enjoyed the game. This also shows that sports can be used and utilized instead of diplomatic measures.
Moreover, sports and sports events can play a very important role in bringing people together within the same nation. For instance, I remember the football match between Egypt and Burkina Faso. Egypt won the match, and all the Egyptians went down the street. They danced, they celebrated together, and they enjoyed the feeling of victory together, despite the economic problems, despite the political differences among different social levels. This means that football and other sports can bring people together and bring nations together. Okay? One more thing I would like to pinpoint when I talk about sports is that soccer players and football players and athletes themselves play a very important role in. Hello, this is Dr. Mohammed Khalil Moussa, and I will speak to you about a sports event that I watched live and how sports events can bring nations together. When I talk about sports, I consider sports as part of everybody's life in the modern world. Nowadays, we celebrate sports in big events like Olympics and World Cups. Personally speaking, I consider sports not just a way of venting out energy or getting out person's energy, but it has also become a way of bringing nations together. This is because in big events, all nations get together, and there is always a blend of all cultures. For example, in 2014, there was the World Cup, and all football matches from all over the world and different continents of the world play together. Strangely, some nations may have political differences and disputes, but when it comes to football, they're always united and they play together and just enjoy the game. And that's the main aim of the game, bringing people and nations together. Also, another example is other games, not just the football matches. For example, in World Cup 2002, I remember that there were Israeli basketball players who played beautifully with one of the Arab teams. And strangely, despite the enmity and the political differences between Israel and the Arab world, both teams played in a harmonious way and they played together very well. One of the most important sports events that I watched live is the football match between Egypt and Cameroon in the African Cup. The beauty of this match lies in the unity that it has brought among all Egyptians who went down the street and celebrated together the victory. And maybe that was.
All right. Yes. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes. One of the most important things I have is my piano, because I like playing the piano. I got it from my parents to my 12th birthday, so I have it for about 9 years. And the reason why it is so important for me is that I can go into another world when I am playing piano. I can forget what's around me and I can forget my problems, and this is sometimes quite good for a few minutes, or I can play to relax, or just, yes, to relax and to think of something completely different.
Thank you. Would it be easy to replace this piano?
Yes, I think it wouldn't be that big problem, but I like my piano as it is because I have it from my parents. It's some kind unique for me.